In our last review, guys, we checked out the Makita 40V XGT half-inch drill driver. And a lot of the comments came on that, what do I need a 40V drill for? Well, first, this thing's super powerful, high quality, well built. But think about this, the 40V XGT line is actually a line of itself. So if you're gonna have a 40 and 80 volt line that's gonna use the same batteries, you gotta make a complete line. So why not make some really stellar tools that are gonna go along with it, even though they're gonna take this 40 volt battery, and you can get the same job done with an 18 volt if you're in the LXT line. But with that said, this isn't much bigger. It still rocks, great quality, good power. Leave a link for this video in the description. It's pretty awesome. Today we're going over this impact driver, and a lot of people commented in that last video that, hey, the performance of this from what I've seen isn't that much further off from an 18 volt impact driver. Well, maybe, but at the same point, I've seen this thing do some pretty incredible stuff, but the main thing that I'm seeing here as a huge benefit is with the 40 volts, I'm getting excellent battery life. In fact, I started out with 2 batteries yesterday that had 1 bar down on each, and I just started pounding on this 1 battery, and I'm only down to half after everything I've done. So it's pretty amazing. We're gonna come in, go through this guy top to bottom, stick with us. So this is Makita's new 40V XGT impact driver, model number GDT01. This guy's awesome as far as feeling, as far as light, as far as ergonomics, as far as rubber overmold. And I'll tell you, the forward and reverse on this is a little bit longer of a throw than on the drill, and I really like that. And I have larger hands and it fits me just perfect. The trigger is absolutely amazing, as you can start it and do so many different things with it just by controlling the trigger. I'm a huge trigger guy, so I absolutely love that. The size of it is perfect, very, very small on the top. And of course, you're gonna always have this 40 volt battery on the bottom, which slides on and off. It's very smooth. I mean, you can tell that Makita is an engineering company and this is where they are going. Here, very simple. Now, when we get to how you physically use this on the bottom, it's not as simple. So let's change up so I can get a good view of what's happening down here, because this can get awful confusing. This tool has a lot of modes, and I am sure you're gonna see me screw this up at some point. If this guy will focus on this, this is all the different RPM modes of what it will do and all the different settings. And beyond that, here's a lot of the information as to what it will do with different bolts and how you get through all the settings and all the different stuff in here. It's pretty intense and pretty amazing, but it also can be simple once you get used to it. Modes basically that are 1, 2, 3, and 4 can be changed by this quick adjustment up top. So I can do 4, 3, 2, 1 here. Now I can also make that same adjustment down here using the light mode and the screw that looks like a hammer that's on there. I can make that adjustment, right? So I can also push the automatic button, and then I can scroll through all these automatic modes, which include bolts, which would be machine screws and or anything metal, and it would include normal wood mode. Then you have a mode that will turn itself off once it starts impacting, and then this one is just a slower controlled mode. And in some cases, it's easy to get messed up in between them. I promise I'll do it in the future as I'm going through these and trying to make it work. But there's a lot happening. But you can also set a mode in this auto section by holding 2 buttons down, and I'm not going to try to do it right now because it got to be a point, but you could switch back and forth between other modes here in this auto mode just by pushing one of these quick change buttons. So there's a lot to this, and I promise once you get used to it, it just makes sense. You're only going to use a few of these, but it's really designed for multiple different people and uses. And once you get that down, you'll love it. The 1/4 inch hex key is a quick load. Make sure your bits are clean. They will slide in, lock into place, and then you just push the collar out and you can remove bits. Very simple and easy to use. If the bit gets dirty, you know, it can be a little bit of a pain to get in and out. There are 2 lights on this guy and they come on with the trigger. They stay on 10 seconds after. That is adjustable by 2 buttons down here. You can make them so they turn on and off with the trigger, and you can make them so they're completely off all the time. There's a lot of adjustments here and a lot of cool stuff. But I want to play with the power, so I'm going to go through this guy in a little bit of a different mode than I normally would, and I'm also playing with this battery here to see how much charge I'll have after using it. So none of this is done with a completely fully charged battery. With the specs on this guy being just spectacular, I just wanted to try a little bit of drilling just to see what would happen. It's obviously not as fast as a drill would be, but that was a 1-inch spade bit. Let's see what happens with 1 1/4 inches. Hit the end of that hole, but still very good. 1 3/8 inches. Wood's cracking at the end, making that noise. Here's 1.5 inches. This should be interesting. And I'm trying not to hold this tool over the vents, but I want to hang on to it in case something happens. That's amazing. Very smooth. With that working out so well, I wanted to try going through a 4x4 1.5 inch spade bit. Still very quick. I know this is not much of a comparison, but it's another one of my very favorite impact drivers, so I wanted to give it a chance and just see what it would do in comparison. Apples to oranges, but this triple hammer has been around for ages and there's a definite difference. I'm not a huge fan of using an impact driver to remove or fasten a bolt like this. I'd use an impact wrench, but 3/4 inch socket here. Let's just try this out. I have the torque wrench set for 100 foot-pounds. See if this guy will remove it. No issue. That's setting 4, it just gave it. So let's try to tighten this guy back up, see what it does. While we're here, let's just see if we made the 100 foot-pounds that we just took off. We did not. So judging by what we turned it, it was somewhere between 80 and 90, but let's move this guy up. There is 130. No issue removing 130, 150. Like nothing. Now, this is a shorter bolt, but if we go to the bolt setting, we have it in level 3 automatic. If we were to remove this, it should hammer hard and then slow up so this bolt doesn't go flying somewhere. So that was pretty cool. That's just all with keeping your finger right there. Now, if we were to test out a different one, we are going to drop down to the auto mode on the screw level, on screw level 1. Let's put this guy on. See, it started out slow and then continued in. Let's see what happens when we remove it. On the out on that one, it did nothing. It just let it rip. So if we go back here, level 3, listen how it's going to be nice and easy and then ramp up. Need a longer bolt. Need a longer bolt. And then it stopped at the end, which is interesting. Let's see what happens on level 2. So that stopped at an even earlier area, so it's not going to put as much force on. So you have a lot of automatic settings here that will even work with bolts. So this impact driver has a ton of modes, which could be confusing, but realistically, once you get into it, it's super simple. So if we just use the automatic button, which if you want to use any of the automatic modes, that's the side you're going to want to be on. We're going to go into automatic mode 1. This is basically for screwing into wood. You'll notice it's going to start out slow and then pick up speed. And that's basically to help you not lose control of the screw in the beginning and then for it to pick up and speed up to full force later. Let's put in one more. That can probably be noticed a little bit more if we go to a larger ledger lock. Let's try this out. That's pretty impressive. So next, if we go, it's going to move us up to the second one, which let me change up my bit. This one is basically going to stop once it starts impacting. So there's multiple reasons you could use this. One would be tiny screws. So here, that's definitely not what happened there. And there we go. So that's interesting to say the least, why the first one didn't go. If I had something incorrect on the setting, again, there's a lot going on here. So the third one, switch out again, is going to just lower me down to about 2,600 RPMs just to give you control of not having a screw break while it's going in. So it's going to give you full speed. Once you get down, it's going to stop anything from breaking once you get anything tight. Let's do that again. It's going to allow you to keep going down, but it's going to go down nice and slow. So there are some great settings on here, and if you keep pushing, you can get into some different bolt settings. But realistically, the wood setting for number 1 is probably going to be used by most people. It starts out nice and slow and works its way up. Now you can choose your other normal settings by either using the button down below or the one up top, which will roll you through the normal stages. This is what everybody probably wants to know. How fast will it drive something large? Which this tool has been pretty amazing so far. Get a little crack in the wood there. Forgive me trying to save a little money using old wood. pretty impressive as to what it will do. This is probably going to crack this piece of wood without a doubt. Let's just give it a go and see what happens. Still got a little to go. Pretty serious stuff, and there's a lot of power here. There's also more comfort, and that's what I like about this. In all the use that we put out in this and drilling yesterday and all the stuff that's going on, we're hitting a half battery at this point in time, which that's one of the big gains to me, is that this 2.5 amp hour battery that is 40 volts lasts for a super long time. So things I didn't touch on in this video is basically mode 3, 2, and 1. And they are super controllable, especially mode 1. You could get in and do just about anything you want with this tool. I was hanging TVs and doing different things in an office build that we have going on, and this was my main tool that was happening there. It was awesome. It's perfect. It's hard for me though to show you those modes without you just going, yeah, I mean, are you using the trigger or what are you doing? So I promise you that this trigger is one of the best that's out there on the market as far as controlling the tool and giving you the most options from 0 all the way up to one of the many, many modes that's in this tool. And the one thing that I will say about this is that you have to be on your game and use this tool often to remember what all the modes are and what they will do. Although it's not hard to scroll through them and then figure them out as you're using the tool to a point, but for most people, some of the modes could be a little intimidating, and just getting a simple driver that has one auto mode and 3 or 4 different other modes might be more along the lines of what someone's looking for. But I'll tell you, the modes rock. Everything they do, especially the wood mode, you could use that in so many different settings where it starts out nice and slow and then just buries anything that you want to use it with, including longer, larger lags or just 2-inch deck screws. No issue. And I think that's the beauty of it. Battery wise, do you need a 40 volt impact driver? And I'll argue with you, there are other tools out there that have 36 volt impact drivers, like the triple hammer, that is absolutely amazing and awesome. And I love it. So I would argue, yeah, I love the 36 volt line. But at this point, the 40 volt line does not give you an option for a compact battery. This is going to be the smallest battery at this point in time that you will get. I don't see a problem with that, because if you're using this for a larger purpose, or for a purpose where you have a bunch of other 40 volt tool lines, you know, you're using this larger Makita stuff for outdoor stuff, for decking, for doing larger construction jobs where this battery fits the purpose. So I don't see it as a big deal. If you're going to get into this line just for the fastest, bestest impact driver, I don't think so. I don't think that's where Makita's going. I think that you're going to get into a larger line that's going to completely be based upon the power that's needed for your construction or contracting situation, not based off of these two simple tools. I think it's going to be a larger thing. So I understand your points in comments of what's going on with that. But the reality is here, they have to come up with a full line of tools, and this impact driver does outperform the 18 volt Makita, maybe not by much, but at the same point it does. And is it worth the upgrade? That's depending on, are you upgrading to the XGT line for all your saws? For everything else, are you going to be in 2 lines or are you going to be in 1? I mean, you can't keep chasing the best. You have to pick what's best for you, your jobs, your environment and go forward. So there's a lot of you guys that are just chasing, I want the best, I want the best, I want the best. And that's great if you want to do it. But don't knock it if you're not going to move up to it because you don't feel it's the best. It's not the best for you. Sorry, rabbit hole there, but long story short, I really believe in this 40 volt Makita line, and I do because of what we see coming. Maybe not these two tools, I do believe in them and they do rock and they are built well, but am I just gonna go to the 40 volt line just to buy a drill and an impact driver? Probably not. I'm going to the 40 volt line to get the 40 and 80 volt stuff that's coming out. And let me tell you, seeing a little glimpse into that future really gets me excited. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm going over this stuff first. And we're going to roll into some great stuff that's coming, including angle grinders and a lot of good stuff. So stick around, hit that subscribe button, give me a like on this video. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.